So one of the things that I felt that was going to be absolutely crucial and massive for the Nintendo Switch 2 is making sure that when they do get their shots, they do get their opportunities to have a big Japanese RPG or a big Japanese game like Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, that people actually show up for it and people actually buy it and people go out there and support the type of games that we want to see, even if it is a game that's going on at 6 years old at this point. It's one of those things that needed to be done because these type of games routinely skipped the Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo platforms for decades. The last time that we saw big major mainline Final Fantasy game come to a Nintendo platform in any type of timely fashion that wasn't a classic game was back on the Super Nintendo. It's been decades, literally. So I felt that this was big when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade and how this game did. And I have incredibly good news to report because I do think that this is going to be an overall change on how Square Enix does things on top of what they've already committed to when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 and how they're putting out a lot of games. But future investment, potential exclusives or lead developed games on the Nintendo Switch 2 are all on the table and could be in the works based off of the success that we are seeing out of not only just the games that already released on the Nintendo Switch 2 from Square Enix, but what we're seeing here with Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade and how it stacked up to the other release on the Xbox. But before we get into that, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 150,000 subscribers. So if you want to have a chance to win that, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below, hit that like button on this video, notification bell, and we will be giving that out once we hit 150,000 subscribers, plus a $50 eShop card at the end of this month. Okay, let's jump right into this here because we have a lot to go over. eShop sales so far in the US and in Japan, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is #1. Both eShops there. Now, there are maybe other regions, so let me know if you're like in certain other types of European regions and certain things like that, like if it's #1 there. But I know for sure in the US and in Japan, it's #1 on the eShop. Now, another big thing here is game key cards. People have been going up in arms about game key cards. There's been different stories that have said that they're not selling and all sorts of stuff, which we don't have any hard data yet at this point. But I personally felt that I'm not a big game key card fan, but if it made sense and if the type of game that they were coming out with actually warranted it to where they needed it or it couldn't fit on the cartridge or something like that, that a game key card could actually do well. And if it was priced well, if it wasn't priced like 70 or 60 or a higher price, I think that it can do well. And we have our first real one here with Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on the Nintendo Switch 2, where you're getting a ton of content. It's obviously bigger than what the 64GB cartridge can hold, and it's cheaper than what you usually see because it is a $40 game instead of 60 or 70. So I think all of those factors contributed to Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, the game key card physical version on Amazon. It's #1 in the US and it's highly ranked as well in Japan. #1 when it comes to new releases in the US on Amazon, and #1 with the Nintendo Switch 2 charts as well. Now, another thing here is that a lot of retailers are sold out, multiple stores. Go Nintendo, and there's been some circulation of this to where you just can't find it. And I went to look myself because I hadn't bought the physical edition yet. And yeah, Amazon, if you buy it, you can get it, but it will come weeks later. So I went ahead and put in an order. But yeah, it's going to take a couple weeks to get there. So whatever initial allotment that they had of game key cards, it looks like they've sold through all of those or most of those in most areas. And it's one of those things to where, yeah, that could indicate that it's doing okay, but we don't know how much they ship. They might have only shipped like 5 or 6 per store. So if they're only shipping that low amount per store because they obviously want you to just buy the game digitally, then I can understand why it's sold out. So I'm not yet here saying that, oh my gosh, it's selling like crazy at the stores, because we don't know what shipment that they sold. Now, Mr. Hamaguchi did talk about that, and we will get to his role in all of this, because I do think that what Mr. Hamaguchi, the series producer for this, is doing and what Square Enix is doing is unlike anything that we've ever seen when it comes to Nintendo in the modern era. They just haven't done this before, and I talked about it, but I wanted to discuss it more because I think his influence is really helping out here, and Square Enix's change of just a thought process and how they do things is really pushing things in a positive way when it comes to future games, and of course FF7 Remake Intergrade on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, another big thing here is that I wanted to see exactly what was going to happen in the head up. Now, I don't think Final Fantasy, at least at this point, Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's not going to outsell the PlayStation version because that was already out on PlayStation 4 and it sold so many copies and it was hyped up, and that's just not going to happen. But I felt that there was an opportunity to kind of see, okay, how does it do on Nintendo platforms compared to Xbox platforms, and how can that shape what happens in the future and where Square Enix prioritizes marketing, resources, and other things. And right now at this point, you have Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade at #1 on the eShop in the US and in Japan, but it's number 40 on the Xbox best sellers. The Xbox storefront is being updated on this upcoming Tuesday, so we'll see how it ranks then. It should be maybe a bit higher based off of what I'm hearing online. That difference right there kind of shows you what Xbox gamers are looking for and what they're willing to spend the money on, and what Nintendo gamers are looking for. And I felt that Japanese RPGs were always a match made in heaven when it comes to a hybrid platform, because people want to be able to play their JRPGs or grind or do talkie missions or whatever the case is. They want to be able to do that anywhere that they want while they're doing something else. It's just something that fits well with the Switch 1, and now especially with the Switch 2 because of the upped portable power that the system has and functionality, to where you can get a game like this and there's not severe compromises that go well beyond what you would want. Yes, there's some compromises, obviously 30 FPS, maybe resolution not as high in some things, but they've been able to make the games look and play great and are stable on the Nintendo Switch 2 for a lot of the bigger Xbox and PlayStation games. So I think that that is the difference here, why you're going to see more people when it comes to a big JRPG or Japanese games. For the most part, even with the Nintendo Switch 2 having a lower install base than the total of Xbox platforms out there, I think that's why you're going to see these games probably do considerably better on a Nintendo Switch 2 than you see on Xbox. So if you're looking at it from a Nintendo side of things and how Square Enix is going to look at things going forward, I think that this is a positive thing. And I wish that it did better on Xbox, just because I heard a lot of people on Xbox saying that they wish that Final Fantasy and all that stuff came over. Well, you got to actually support it when it does better than this, at least, especially when it's only $40. So it does seem like it might have flopped on there, but don't quote me on that. Don't say that it's 100%, because we don't know exactly how many units were sold on either one when it comes to Nintendo or for Xbox. But clearly you can see with the physical edition, and you can see with the digital, it being up to #1, that it does seem like more people are opting to buy it on the Nintendo Switch 2 compared to what's happening on Xbox now at this point. Now, another thing that I kind of alluded to before, but I wanted to discuss a bit more here, is Mr. Hamaguchi and what this man is doing on Twitter and what he's doing just overall with the marketing of this game. One, he's making sure to speak in English to people and to Japanese. I think he's sometimes translating it out and putting two of them on there, or just straight up quote tweeting when it comes to English speakers, and using a Google translator, using something, or getting one of his people to translate it and then responding. So he's responding to some of the bigger Nintendo accounts and some of the people that are talking about the sales numbers and talking about the game being #1 on the eShop or it being sold out, and he's rebroadcasting that to his audience. And what that shows here, I know that doesn't seem like much, but what that shows is that at least he cares about the Nintendo base going out there and picking up the game. When you see a producer, especially one that's not speaking or not a native speaker of English, come to New York, meet the fans, sign autographs at Nintendo New York, that's a long trip over for a port of a 5-year-old, 6-year-old game. Not at this point, that shows that there's some heart there. That shows that there's actually some care. Yes, he wants you to buy the game. Yes, Square Enix wants to make money off you, but in the past, they would just throw out stuff on Nintendo platforms. They wouldn't do any type of marketing events or anything really. Now, yes, they had Bravely Default and other stuff, but when it came to mainline big games, they just kind of sat back and said, all right, you're good, and we're going to go to other places for that. So the fact that they're actually, I think, needing to do this, they kind of were pushed to where they needed to, all things considered. But the fact that Mr. Hamaguchi is doing this is absolutely brilliant when it comes to marketing. It is such a good thing because people can just pick this up on an impulse buy. It's 40 bucks, not 60 or 70. So that becomes a bit impulse buy territory, especially for a historic franchise that's as good and as highly rated as Final Fantasy VII. It's one of those things to where you can't really lose with that. It's like, okay, it's 40 bucks. It's still going to be good. We know the game is solid. I know I'm going to enjoy it. I know I'm getting this much content, and I can enjoy this game anywhere that I want. So Mr. Hamaguchi, brilliant marketing, actually looking out and seeing different content creators, not just the ones that just play games on YouTube or make reviews, but actually people that are on Twitter, like tweeters, that can get the information out quickly and to where you can broadcast that out quickly to a large number of people to say, hey, the game is out. It's doing well, people are enjoying it, it's reviewing well. Like, he's quote tweeted so many different things, from what people are saying about the reviews, to the sales, to the physical edition, to the eShop. That's super smart, and you don't always see that from producers, especially Japanese producers. I have not seen that too much. I mean, it's happened sometimes, of course, but I have not seen it to this level to where people that I know, that I follow, and they follow me, that he's quote tweeting stealth and certain people like that. And I think that is, like I said, smart. It's a very smart thing to do when it comes to the marketing of this game, and just getting more people to be aware about it and get it in their mind and say, oh yeah, that's only 40 bucks. Maybe I'll go pick that up. Maybe if I see a copy here, or maybe I'll just download it on the eShop when I get some time. So very smart marketing, very brilliant marketing, and I expect them to do that even more when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. And another stroke of brilliance was making sure to confirm that we're going to get Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and Rebirth, that they're all coming and they're not going to be compromised too much in terms of the vision of what they want to do. So that was also another smart thing, because what you don't want is people asking questions like, okay, well, if I buy this one, will they come out with the next one? Will I have to buy it on PlayStation or Xbox or PC? Will I have to wait so much longer? Like, I'm not so sure. Maybe I'll just wait till I know. So the fact that they confirmed all of them are coming was also a very smart thing, because if you don't, then you get those questions out there. So Square Enix, good job from Mr. Hamaguchi and Square Enix to get that greenlit to reveal that it's all coming. And for the most part, they said that from the very beginning, from before the game even launched last year. They talked about that at the creator's voice vision, saying, hey, the FF7 Remake series, not just FF7 Remake Intergrade, the one that they were talking about in that creator's voice with Nintendo, but the series, which is Part 2 and Part 3. So we kind of already knew, but then we got the final confirmation, and they continue to confirm it and reconfirming that it's coming over and over to let people know that they have confidence. That's what you need. We need that from them. So very good on that front as well. Now, I talked about this a little bit before, but I think that for the future of Square Enix and even just JRPGs in general, this is going to be huge. When other JRPG developers or when other Japanese developers see that you put out a high quality game, your biggest game, AAA, I know you spend a lot of money getting that game adapted and building new pipelines and adjusting it for ARM or for the Nintendo Switch 2 and their architecture and everything, but it's worth it. They need to see that their investment is going to pay back. They need to see that they're going to be profitable on it. It's not just enough to have the game on the Switch 2 just because, but it actually has to do well. Otherwise, we won't see more, because they need to actually make money for this thing to keep going. So when other developers see that Square Enix released a 5+ year-old game and it comes out on the Nintendo Switch 2 and it instantly shoots up to #1 on both boards in the US and Japan, and probably doing really good worldwide as well. Plus, they put out a physical edition game keycards, which apparently people thought they were the worst thing ever, but that's actually doing well when it makes sense to do it. Obviously, I like more physical games, but when it makes sense to do it because you explain it the right type of way, so it's doing well like it seems at this point, I think other Japanese developers say, okay, we need to do that as well. We need to get in on that. And most of them are. We see Capcom putting a crazy amount of support when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 day and date for many games, from Resident Evil all the way to Monster Hunter, the new Monster Hunter Stories game, and Pragmata, which was probably the biggest surprise, was Pragmata. That one being day and date. That's really cool. And you look at companies like Bandai Namco, which I've stopped complaining crazily about, but Bandai Namco dropping the ball, probably losing out on millions of dollars, not supporting the Nintendo Switch 2 with some of their biggest games, not having those ready overall or switch to editions of some of their older ports. But I think that for the future, you're going to start seeing those conversions way quicker and pretty much day and date. And don't be surprised if you see a number of AA or almost high-end AAA type of games become Switch 2 developed first and then ported over to other platforms, or even somewhat exclusive, or stuff like Rain Code when we saw certain games like that. Like, I think it's absolutely possible that developers start going in that route when it comes to Japanese games, not Western titles, but a lot of big Japanese games. Don't be surprised if that is the route that a lot of these guys are going to go, based off of a number of things that I talked about here and stuff that has been happening when it comes to the sales numbers with the Nintendo Switch 2 since it launched. And of course, the explosive sales of the system being a top seller for 2025 in many different regions, being one of the fastest selling systems of all time as well. Not perfect with everything, but definitely going to get better in 2026 and beyond. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on the Nintendo Switch 2 and the updates that we went over? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.